Building on the theme of moving our community forward, Will Dunn will present next on the importance of giving back to Penn State. Will is a senior at Penn State studying health policy and administration. Hailing from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Will did not grow up with many Penn State influences, but once he arrived on campus, he quickly found a home in Happy Valley. He has been involved in a number of activities at Penn State and now serves as the executive director of the Class Gift Campaign. As director, he is tasked with leading the committee responsible for raising funds for the gift and spreading awareness about it. Currently, the committee is at a crossroads of tradition and change. In his talk, he will tell you about the importance of giving back to Penn State and starting your legacy.
So when you think about quintessential Penn State landmarks, what is it that you think about? Perhaps you think about those days you spent walking through the hub to get to class or grab a bite to eat, and you saw those fish tanks just sitting there. Or perhaps you thought about the times it was a beautiful day at Penn State and your friends wanted to grab a bite to eat and sit outside, and you sat on the roof of the terrace. Maybe you were sitting in those chairs right outside there, and were studying for a hard exam the next day, and you saw this big bronze circle staring back at you. Maybe you don't think about the hub when you think about these quintessential landmarks. Maybe you think about Old Main, and that weird spherical thing that's on a turtle's back. That's called the armillary sphere, by the way. Or you think about that weird pillar thing in the middle of the lawn with a sundial on it that says, "Grow old with me, the best is yet to be." Maybe you don't think about that at all. Maybe you think about college game day and going to Penn State, texting your friends, meeting you at gate A to meet by that giant rock before you go into the student section. For me, when I think about quintessential Penn State landmarks, my favorite is this one, the Pennsylvania State University landmark sign. It sits out right outside Beaver Stadium. You see people taking pictures with it for graduation. And for me, when I drive back here from Pittsburgh, I see that sign and know I'm home. Maybe you think about the time when you were walking towards IM or towards Beaver Stadium and saw the We Are statue. Maybe that was your first time touring Penn State and you saw this and you thought, wow, this is where I want to go. Maybe you don't think of that either. Maybe you think of the symbol of our best, the place where you get your first picture when you come here and your last picture when you graduate, the Nittany Lion Shrine. These are all quintessential Penn State landmarks that we couldn't imagine our university without. But they all share one thing in common. These are all Penn State class gifts. Hi, my name is Will Dunn. I'm the Executive Director of the Penn State Class Gift Campaign, and I'm going to answer the question today, why give? Starting your legacy. The Penn State Class Gift Campaign dates all the way back to 1861, making it the longest standing tradition here at Penn State. It all started with this guy right here, Evan Pugh. The class of 1861 wanted to give back to the university that gave them so much, and they wanted to honor the first president of this university. This portrait of Evan Pugh sits in Old Main is the first class gift. And now, 150 years later, we still honor this tradition. It is one of the deepest and richest traditions at Penn State that every graduating class will give back to the university that's given them so much. But in the most recent years, the class gift has experienced a lot of different changes. And I want to talk about a couple of those. The first being the attitude about the class gift. Most recently, when I started this speech, you probably noticed all the different landmarks I talked about on campus, and there's so many more. But in recent years, the classes wanted to bring something else to Penn State and do different resources that make Penn State greater than what it is. In 2016, the class gift was an endowment to CAPS. This was to help raise awareness for mental health and awareness and give back to a vital campus resource. In 2017, the class decided to give to Lions Pantry to help tackle hunger and fight food insecurity. In 2018, the class decided to give an endowment to the student farm at Penn State and to a textbook resource fund. All of these are vital resources that students use every day, and it's going to make an impact on students in the future. This is what the attitude of the class gift has become in moving away from those traditional landmarks. Not saying that those aren't important, but saying that this is what students want to focus on now. Another change that the class gift has experienced is our organization. So, in the past, the Penn State Class Gift Campaign was a standalone organization. We were a sister organization with the Penn State Student Philanthropy Council, and we were under the Office of Annual Giving. Through there, we had different missions and wanted to promote philanthropy across campus, but in the most recent year, we've combined organizations to create the Student Philanthropy Network, excuse me. This Student Philanthropy Network has a mission of raising awareness about Penn State philanthropy and showcasing why it's important to give back to the university. And the Class Gift Campaign falls under that, and that's where I now serve as. Another thing that's been the biggest change for the class gift is the fundraising model. Who's a senior in here that did summer session? Raise your hand. Well, we got one. All right. So, back when we were the seniors back then in summer session, they used this thing called E-Lion. And E-Lion was what Lion Path was. It was where the bursar was. It was where your grades were. And this is where you scheduled. This is what Lion Path was. And when you came to Penn State, you put down a $100 general deposit, and that would carry into your account all 4 years of college and would never come back. At the end of your 4 years of college, maybe that $100 was down a little bit. Maybe you forgot to return a book to the library. Maybe you forgot to pay a parking fee. But that $100 would stay in there, or less if you forgot one of those things. And at the end of your senior year, the class gift campaign would solicit from you and say, hey, do you want to give this to the class gift campaign and give back to the university? And students would do that. Since Penn State's transitioned to Lion Path, that general deposit is no more, and Penn State's class gift campaign does not fundraise like that anymore. We've moved to a grassroots fundraising campaign and an online fundraising platform to raise funds for the class gift at a more holistic approach and the donor retention. But we have seen a huge decrease in funding from the class gift because of this change. Just in 2016, the class gift for the CAPS endowment raised $284,000. Last year, the class gift, the Beekeeper's Gate, raised $9,000. That's just a 3-year difference and almost I'm not gonna do that math right now. Over $250,000 money difference. That is a huge change in how the class gift can make an impact on this campus and why it's important to give. The next thing I want to talk about is this year's class gift. This year's class gift is endowment to CAPS. It's continuing the foundation that was laid out by the class of 2016 and showing that we still care about mental health. Our generation has championed the cause for mental health and wellness, and we want to be the change to show that reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. The endowment to CAPS can fund one of these very many different resources, as well as show all the different resources that CAPS has to offer. It was just the other day, the class gift campaign was tabling at a Panhellenic event, and a student approached us. That student said to one of our members and said, hi, I know you're working with CAPS, I'm depressed, how can I get help? This story is vital to the story of the class gift. Without the class gift campaign, that student might not have known how to connect with CAPS. That student might not have gotten help. But because of us raising awareness for this cause and creating a university that cares so much about mental health and wellness, that student's going to get help, and that student got connected to CAPS. It is so important not only to raise funds for the class gift, but to raise awareness for the cause that we are now championing. The Center for Counseling and Psychological Services has seen a lot of changes since that first endowment in 2016, and it's gotten a lot of support since then. They serve about 10% of the student population here at Penn State. Compared to our universities of equal size, that's 2% higher than most of them. In addition, they were able to hire 18 new providers in the past 3 years to help students get the resources and help that they need. But that's still not enough. Students are still being turned away and still not getting the help they need. Maybe they're being referred to the community, but the community clinics are slowly getting filled up as well. So this is why the class gift of 2020 and endowment to CAPS is so crucial to making sure that we can help more students and grow even further as a university. Ooh. There we go. Okay. So I told you I'd answer the question, why give? At Penn State, 11% of the university's operating budget is through philanthropy. That includes the class gift. Without that 11%, your tuition may be higher. You might have to pay other additional fees. That 11% helps cover vital resources like CAPS, like Lions Pantry, like other resources that this university holds. Up there are the links for the class gift if you are interested in donating. But don't feel burdened to donate. There are other ways to get involved. Become a fundraiser for the class gift campaign. If mental health and wellness is something that you care about, you can fundraise at the class gift campaign, make your own page, tell your story, and start your legacy here at Penn State. If you are in need, here are the phone numbers for CAPS and the crisis line. Again, like I said earlier, there's never a sign of weakness to ask for help, but a sign of strength. Again, all these class gifts up here symbolize the legacy of past graduating seniors. Now is our time to start our legacy for the class of 2020 and to make sure that the resources on campus are better in the future students, so when we come back in 20 years, we can say we did that. Thank you.